Hey everyone, welcome again to TalkAllKombat. I'm Luke. Today, basically, this is a new segment I'm going to try and do every now and then when there's enough stuff to talk about. I'm just going to round up some MMA news, talk about my opinion of it, you know, what I think of it. Yeah, so today I've got 6 things to talk about, so I'll try and keep it brief. The first thing I want to talk about, biggest bit of news I think, quite exciting if it actually happened, was Anthony Pettis giving Dana a text wanting to go down to 145 to fight Aldo. From a selfish point of view, I'd love Dana to just say, you know what, do it, book Pettis against Aldo. Funny enough, when we were watching it, I was watching it with my older brother. The first thing he said was if Aldo went up to 155, he'd love to see him fight Pettis. Well, now that could happen at 145. You look at Pettis, he looks like quite a lean guy. He's relatively tall, but he looks quite lean. I think he'd make the cut. I think he'd make the cut okay. He looks like he'd fit at the size. But in terms of the actual fight, you know, you can't even imagine how good it'd be. Pettis is such an innovative striker. You know, the only time we've seen him beaten where he didn't look great was against Guida, who just right boring wrestling fight. Aldo's not going to do that. He's going to engage him in a striking fight. It'd just be such a good contest. Pettis is innovative striking against Aldo's innovative striking, both great with their hands and feet. I just think it'd make for such a spectacle. But obviously, cutting the line, you know, Korean Zombie's been waiting I don't know how long. You know, he beat. They never expected him to beat Poirier when it's put in front of him, you know, and he beat him. So I think the Zombie's quite deserving of a title shot. Lamas just destroyed Kosh. You know, that was a big win. So when you're leapfrogging people who have worked their way up a division, you're just letting people drop down and you think it's going to be a good fight, I will give it him. You know, it's not really fair. This is people's careers. So I'm a bit split about it. On a selfish front, I'd love to see the fight. But thinking about it, you know, is it really fair to leapfrog Lamas and Zombie? You know, Dana said that Lamas could fight Zombie to make a proper 145 contender while Pettis fights Aldo. But it's whether Zombie's back in time for that time schedule to work. If that does work, I think that's a good compromise. You know, maybe give him a bit of extra money for the fight, you know, say sorry, but we want the pay-per-view bucks, you know, which it will earn. And yeah, so my overall opinion, that would be a fantastic fight, and I am leaning towards hoping it gets made. The next bit of news is Dana coming out and saying that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Weidman is the #1 contender. Yeah, I don't. Dana's saying, you know, it was always Weidman. No, I don't think it was. I think Dana was looking for something to A, please Anderson, and B, sell a pay-per-view. Weidman hasn't got the name to sell a pay-per-view at the minute against Anderson. I think Dana was looking for someone bankable like Rashad to fight him. Everyone who he's setting up for a title shot, you know, he's setting up Bisping. Bisping was never going to beat Anderson Silva. Setting up Belcher lost. You know, everyone he's set up to fight Silva has fallen, basically leaving Weidman at the top of the pile. There's no one else. That's why he's coming out and saying it. You've heard Lombard, Kung Lee bandied about, Rockhold. Rockhold I can understand coming in as champ. It is a sellable fight. But again, you know, you can't argue Weidman's not a bankable name if you're going to sell it as Rockhold. I mean, Rockhold's not even as well known as Weidman. You know, Weidman's been fighting in the UFC, and Rockhold's been fighting in Strikeforce. Not against the most fantastic names either. Keith Jardine. I wouldn't mind seeing Rockhold fight him, but I think it'd probably be better if Rockhold fought Lombard. You know, the two ex-champs from other promotions fight to create a #1 contender. Give Weidman the fight. Weidman's highly skilled. You know, he's beat Damian Maia, who's on a tear at the minute. He absolutely poleaxed Mark Munoz with a blinding bit of striking. So, yeah, I think that would be an interesting fight. I don't think Anderson's as scared as people are making out. I think he's more about making money, and he just wanted a fight that's going to give him a larger slice of pay-per-view. You know, you can talk about Anderson being scared as much as you want, but he's the greatest MMA fighter of all time. He makes everyone look average, and I see Weidman going exactly the same way. Chow is the most smothering, horrible wrestler to face, and in the second fight you saw what Silva did. So I think it'll be another great Silva performance. I think he'll beat Weidman if they fight. But yeah, I'm hoping that fight gets made, just to get it out of the way. The next one I want to speak about is Dana coming out and saying, oh, Velasquez and Cormier might be able to fight. I'll keep this brief. No, they're not going to fight. You saw how much, you know, Cormier was happy for Velasquez when he won the title back. You saw how close knit they are. They're not going to fight. I don't think so. I think he'd rather drop to 205 if he beats Mir. And if he don't beat Mir, we won't have to talk about it anyway. So that's not going to happen. Barnett to the UFC. I'm hoping so. Dana's saying that they're in talks. He hasn't received any bad news from Joe Silva, you know, about Barnett's demands. So it looks like we could be seeing Josh back in the UFC. I do hope so. He's a very high level heavyweight. And basically, once you've got him in, I can't really think of another heavyweight who's going around outside the UFC who would improve the division. I think they'll basically have all the top heavyweights in the world in the UFC that I know of. Barnett, apart from being beaten by Cormier, which I found that shocking the way he was dismantled, he's looked impressive, you know, in his recent fights. So yeah, I think he'll make a great addition, and I think he'll get quite close to the top of the division. I do. Yeah, I rate Barnett a lot. So hopefully back in the UFC soon. Oh, here we go. Dana says no to Frankie at 155. Sorry. Yeah. This is my problem with Dana. You know, Frankie said he don't know if his next fight's going to be at 155 or 145. Well, according to Dana, it's 145. There's no doubt. You know, I don't like the way he takes. They are independent contractors. You know, don't tell them what to do. Fair enough if it's a stupid decision, but if he don't feel like there's any point to stand at 145, why should he? It's his choice what division he fights in. But Dana just comes out, no, that's not happening. No, throws a few swear words out. You know, it's silly. If Frankie wants to fight at 155, let him. But I'd like to see him start 145 because I think he'd be quite good in the division. I'd like to see him against Dennis Seaver for his next fight. Seaver's been on a tear at 145. I think that's a good fight for Frankie, winnable. Get him back up, you know, because obviously he's lost his last three. I think he just needs to have a fight where he's not fighting someone who's supremely dominant, you know, so that he just gets a bit of confidence back and gets used to actually cleanly winning a fight. So yeah, I'd like to see him in against Seaver. I'd like to see him start 145, but if he doesn't want to, don't. You know, it's his choice, his life, his career. Lastly, another bit of Dana news. Dana against Randy Couture. Yet again, Dana butting heads with a former fighter. I don't think it's all one-sided. He's come out and said Randy's pretty terrible to deal with, you know, outside of the octagon. You know, maybe that's true. I don't know Randy. I don't know Dana. Obviously, Dana's just, his opinion's always out there for everyone to see. He hasn't got a filter. But as for, you know, he said that Ryan Couture's welcome to fight in the UFC, but he can't have Randy even come to the fights, let alone corner him. I mean, that's not fair, is it? If a dad can't come to see his son fight, so what if him and Dana aren't talking? If he wants to buy a ticket, you know, purchase one, I'm sure he's more than welcome to. It's a bit petty from Dana, and I do think half of it is because he's gone to Spike. I don't think he's happy he's gone to a competitor. It will help Bellator's ratings. You know, Randy's one of the most mainstream UFC fighters of all time, so it can only help Bellator. I think Randy would be good in the role, but yeah, Dana's, you know, just chill out a bit. Let Ryan have his daddy's fights if he wants. You know, just calm down, Dana. So yeah, that wraps up this week's edition of news, or maybe not this week. If anything else comes up, I'll be sure to post another one. Thanks for watching. Let me know any feedback or what you think of the stories that I've spoke about. Yeah, if you like it, please subscribe. Thank you.